The Tarot of the Divine is based on folklore, myths, and legends from all over the world, some of which you will be familiar with and many others to get to know. The book Beneath the Moon offers all of the stories depicted in the Tarot of the Divine, and in this video I will do a full review of the tarot deck and whether you need the separate book or if it offers enough all by itself. I'm Ruby, I'm here to help you make better purchasing decisions through my tarot chats and deck reviews. I've had this deck for a while now, and even though I don't often use it, I still find myself so intrigued by the deck and all the stories in it, and I just wanted to see whether or not to keep this deck in my collection. Let's start with production value. So the Tarot of the Divine is printed on the linen cardstock. Personally, I am not a fan of linen cardstock, but it is okay. It is pretty sturdy cardstock. I do find it hard to riffle shuffle, but that being said, I do have mobility issues in my hand, so I do find it very easy to overhand shuffle this because it is quite slippery. I will say that the deck kind of gets a bow to it. The cards kind of get a bow to it, and you can really tell that by putting a card down and seeing that it has a big bow. I don't own the box anymore because when I had this deck I was going through a phase of making my own tarot bags for everything, so I threw the box out, but I do have some footage of a previous video that I've done on this, so that is what the box design looks like. I do think it's really pretty. I wish I would have kept it, to be honest. Now let's dive into the deck. What I love about this deck so much is the use of bold colors. I love putting down a spread with this deck because it looks so colorful and it's so inviting. And even though I know some of the stories, there are a lot of stories that are depicted that I don't know. The guidebook describes this deck as an homage to the stories we have told one another across cultures and throughout history. While each story is unique to a specific time and place, every culture has stories of bright young adventurers, forbidden doors, or promised lands. In this way, the Tarot of the Divine fosters appreciation of our differences and of the truth in our similarities. So a lot of these stories aren't just from Western cultures. There are stories from Africa, from Asia, from all over the world, and I think that that is really lovely. But with that comes the fact that if you come across an image that you don't instantly relate to the original tarot card meaning and you don't know the story, then you might get a little bit of a disconnect with that card. And I have had that happen a couple of times. By the way, this is what the back design of the cards look like. I think it's really fun and recognizable, and it's also reversible. Now let's get on to the guidebook, because the guidebook that you get with the Tarot of the Divine has a little bit of a reference to the story of the card. For instance, for the Magician, we see the fairy godmother. Okay, so it's the story of the fairy godmother, and the story is from France, and it's a French fairy tale. But there's no information in this guidebook on what the fairy godmother's tale is. If you want to know that story, then either, I guess you could Google it, but you kind of need the Beneath the Moon book to get to know all of the stories behind the cards. What I do find a bummer about the Beneath the Moon book, there's no order, or I don't know what the order is in which the stories are laid out, because it's not the order of the tarot deck. It doesn't start with the Fool and ends with the King of Pentacles. It is all random. And in just the table of contents, I can't always recognize what my card is that I pulled, because if I pull the Two of Cups, it only says Two of Cups. It doesn't say the name of this story. So I actually have to flip through the entire book to find this image to see what my story is. So that is something that I do find very annoying. Maybe I would go through the entire book and write in the table of contents with pencil what the card is. Maybe I'd do that. If you want to be able to read the Tarot Divine like to its fullest potential, you absolutely need to get the Beneath the Moon book, or you're willing to Google all of the stories, basically. Because the guidebook itself, though it offers a little bit of information about tarot as a system, it has a couple of tarot spreads that you can try. It does not have any information whatsoever on the stories. It does come with an interpretation of the tarot card, as well as upright and reversed keywords, which is something that I really like to see in a guidebook, because you guys know I love having to put multiple keywords together instead of having 3 set pre-written interpretations and I somehow have to string that into an interpretation for my situation and my question. So my final thoughts is, if you are getting the Tarot of the Divine for the stories and for the fact that there are multiple stories within the deck, then you're gonna need to get the Beneath the Moon. If you don't really care about the stories and you just like the artwork and you just like looking at it and the bold colors and all of that, the linen cardstock I know some people really love, then you don't need to get the extra book. Because I do think that it's totally possible to read with the Tarot of the Divine all by itself, and I've done so plenty of times. There might just be some images that leave you questioning why the card is depicted in that kind of way. If you enjoyed the Tarot of the Divine, you might also really like the Lightyear Tarot, of which I've done a review as well. Click the video on the screen right now to watch that. Subscribe if you want to see more tarot chats, deck reviews, all that fun stuff. But for now, thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you next time. Bye!